Hi guys, it's Emma, and today we're going to be talking about Sarm Heslop. So, just for anybody who does not know about Sarm, I'll just give you a couple of minutes, just a minute or so, just to come in, and then we're going to talk about her. So, I don't know if you've watched my previous videos that I've made. I think I've made a couple, 2 or 3 videos about Sarm, who has mysteriously disappeared from her partner or boyfriend's large $500,000 catamaran in the Virgin Islands. It sounds idyllic. Anyway, we'll start. So, Sam, a 41-year-old woman, a flight attendant from the UK, has mysteriously disappeared in the US Virgin Islands from a yacht. So she lived in Great Britain. She was a flight attendant for Flybe, and she'd met her boyfriend on Tinder about 8 months previously. Hi, Mary. Can you hear me? Just put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I'm not talking to myself. So as I was saying, Sam lived in Great Britain. She worked for Flybe, and she'd met a boyfriend about 8 months previously on Tinder. Hi, Missy. So he seemed nice. They gelled over a mutual love of traveling the world and food and, whatever it was he had to offer. She seemed to be interested in that, and the whole lifestyle, the idea of living basically over in the Caribbean or just basically traveling the world really appealed to her. And so she ended up going out there. I think initially she was told that, she could have this job as a chef working on this $500,000 catamaran, the Siren Song. And so he hired her to do that, to be a chef. And I think what they did was he hired the catamaran out um, for thousands of dollars a time, and I'm guessing at that point they probably lived in hotels or whatever. But the whole lifestyle, it just sounded idyllic. They're just living out there, and all the photos that she posted on social media with this just amazing lifestyle, amazing food, and beautiful scenery. Hi, Cameron. Thank you, Mary. So she posted all these beautiful photos, and it just looked amazing. I mean, it was a dream basically. And it's unknown what kind of relationship they had, but by the photos, the two of them seemed to be loving life, sipping cocktails, sunning themselves. They all seemed smiley and happy, and they were sailing around the US Virgin Islands and eventually moored in Frank Bay. So this took a bit of a disastrous turn when Sam just mysteriously disappeared from this luxury yacht on the 7th of March, or early hours of the 8th of March this year. So apparently Ryan and Sam had been to, well, this was according to Ryan, they'd gone for this meal, they'd gone for drinks at one of the many restaurants on St. John's, and they returned around apparently 10 p.m. They watched a film and then they went to bed. But Ryan states that about 2:30 a.m. on the early hours of the 8th of March, he woke up to the sound of this alarm going off. And apparently this alarm was like the anchor alarm on the boat, and that was going off. And so he got up, and that was at the point when he realized that Sam wasn't there. So this was when she disappeared, and so he contacted the police, and the police came, but he met them on the beach. So he didn't want them on the yacht straight away. He didn't want them anywhere near the yacht. He met them on the beach. And they asked him about her, asked him to provide like a recent photograph and everything. And he did, and he gave them some information. He told them what had been going on, where she was last, where he'd seen her last, etc. But then he refused to allow them to search. He would not give them permission to search the boat at all. And eventually they said, I want you to contact the US Coast Guard and explain to them what had happened so that they can come out and search for her. But for some reason, Ryan waited 9 hours to report Sarm, this love of his life, or his girlfriend, whatever you want to call her. 9 hours. So what was he doing for those 9 hours? Was he asleep? Because I think if my partner had just gone missing on my yacht, there's no way I'd be able to sleep. So I've no idea what this guy was doing for 9 hours. I mean, there's only so much searching he could have done in 9 hours, because he didn't move his boat. His boat never moved from the position that she last went missing in. Anyway, so they wanted to conduct these searches, and apparently at one point the police basically got on the boat and said, you know, we want to search. And he stood in front of the door leading down into the yacht and stood there and basically would not let them in and said, you know, you're not coming past. You don't have my permission to do so, and you need a warrant. But at this point, it was classed as a missing persons case, not a criminal investigation. So they had no reason to search, basically, that no reason to get a warrant. But surely this must have been a bit of a strange situation. I mean, we'll get to it in a minute. The things that could have happened, but. So it was just a missing persons case, and they were looking for her in the waters. That didn't find her. During this time, with the media attention, he got an attorney and exercised his constitutional rights not to speak. He didn't want to speak to the media on the beach when they confronted him. And he just wouldn't speak to anybody, and that he just walked off. So as soon as the media, I think it was the Sun or the Mirror, somebody wanted to speak to him on the beach about it, and he just literally walked past them and said nothing. And so I think the other day he needed some possible bread, milk, possibly, just essentials. He got in his life raft after locking up his catamaran, got in his life raft, went to, I don't know if that's what you call it, dinghy, went to the island in order to go get some essentials. And they tried to speak to him then and basically said to him, look, we need some more information on the disappearance. Can you please tell us that you were not involved in any way? And he just wouldn't speak to anybody. And he's now exercising his constitutional rights not to speak at all. So the police have been conducting interviews with workers at the bars and the restaurants, especially this 420 diner in Cruz Bay, which I think might have been the one that they actually was at that night. I'm not sure. They've been getting the CCTV, or I think, don't know if you call it CCTV or security footage over in America. They've been getting that, but the problem with that is some of the cameras that they have on these restaurants are not recording for some reason, which seems strange to me, because what's the point in having them in the first place? But anyway, so he's refused to allow them on. He's refused to let them search. He's got an attorney. Apparently this attorney actually helped Giselle Maxwell in her case, which, he's picked a good one. So he's obviously planning on this going somewhere. And the FBI are now supporting the local law enforcement in the search. The police are scouring the CCTV, like I say, in an attempt to establish new leads. But his timeline just does not make sense. Now, today, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, he actually basically took his anchor up and set sail, and he's gone, and no one knows where he is. So now the FBI have basically chartered a boat over there in the Virgin Islands in St. John's, and they've gone looking for him, and they're chasing him around the ocean. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense, because if they were going to go after him, why didn't they go after him when he was sat there for 2 weeks? Why didn't they go after him then? Why now that he's suddenly disappeared? I mean, surely the things that he's done so far, his timeline doesn't make sense. The fact that she could still be on this boat, we don't know. And, you know, he's just been acting really strange. To say that he's somebody that loves this girl, or they were in a relationship and, you know, he obviously cares about her, or he should do, he should want to help. He should want to do everything he can to find this beautiful girl. But he's not, and now he's sailed away. Now, if the FBI do catch up with him in wherever they manage to catch up with him, do they have a warrant? To me, they must have a warrant now to search. They must have got one, because if they're chasing him around and trying to get to him before he enters UK waters, French waters, or anywhere where they cannot extradite him back to the US waters, then they're after him now. If they catch him, what are they going to do? So they must have a warrant now, even though it's not actually documented in the news or in the media or anywhere. As far as I can see, they must have a warrant, because otherwise they just, what are they going to do when they catch up with him? He's not going to allow them on. So, I mean, what do you think, guys? Tell me what you think. I mean, Missy's saying, really odd behaviour indeed. I completely agree. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You're supposed to love this girl, but you're not going to help with the search. You're not going to let them in. What's going on? Like, and I mean, to me, I'm concerned that she's still on this boat. Like, what happens if she's still in there? I mean, we don't want to think about all the bad things that could be happening, and I'm sure the family don't even want to think about that. But where is she? I mean, surely if she'd have gone in the water, she would have come up by now, because I know bodies sink, but the gases in bodies make bodies rise to the water and bodies float. So you would eventually find something, surely. I think they're trying to say now, they're looking at the CCTV because they want to know if she actually went back to the yacht that night when he said after the meal. So there's been rumours, did she disappear that night? Did she just go off? Did they have an argument and she left? And she's somewhere on the island with like a friend. But because she knew a lot of people around there, she'd make friends with some of the locals. So I'm just reading what some of you said in the chat. Mary says, he did something. This does not sound good. I mean, no, I completely agree. I don't think it sounds good either, Cameron. To me, he sounds like he's guilty. Why else would he get an attorney and not speak to the media? Exactly. You know, if he's, why would you need an attorney if you're not guilty? I mean, there was something in the media to say, oh, he's really scared. He doesn't trust the local police. He's going to get framed for something he hasn't done. And that's his concerns. That was what he was putting out. He's a quiet person. He doesn't like being in the spotlight or anything like that. So that's what, you know, that's from his side of things. When it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Yeah, I agree with that one. Always check out a person when you meet them online. Check their number. Yeah, I mean, it's not as easy to check somebody over here in the UK because of a lot of laws to do with confidentiality rights and things like that. It's very difficult to find information on somebody unless you go on social media. But over there, I think it's a lot easier to do a search on people's backgrounds. And, you know, she could have done that because we haven't even got on to the ex-wife yet. I mean, did you see my other videos where I talked about the ex-wife? I mean, she has been in the media to say, please, you know, that she's urging the police to do everything that they can to find this girl, because she'd already had previous issues with him. He'd actually been locked up I can't remember if it was for 8 or 11 months. I think it was 11 months for some sort of like grievous bodily harm towards his ex-wife. So she'd met him, and he'd portrayed this great lifestyle, and she got involved with him, and I think they got married, and they seemed to, from the wedding photos, it looked like they'd had this beautiful, extravagant wedding. But it all took a bit of a turn when his side came out, where he got very angry and threw her to the floor and smashed her head against, I don't know if it was a wall. Sorry, my cats are running around like crazy. I can just hear the bells jingling in the background. So she'd already stated, that was the case, and so they'd looked into his background, and they'd found that that he'd already been done basically for abuse towards his ex, and she had injuries. She ended up going to hospital. She had cuts and bruises all over, head injury, etc. And I don't know. It's not good, is it? And she obviously, well, I mean, I'd like to think that she did know this before she met him, but there's a chance she didn't. I mean, I looked at her Instagram page, and it's all beautiful photos of, lovely scenery, and she'd taken photos of the catamaran and all the nice food they were eating and her sunbathing, and it all looked great, but there was nothing there that would suggest any arguments or anything wrong, that there was any problems with the relationship. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, I mean, you can portray yourself as this amazing guy with this great $500,000 yacht, and look at this lifestyle I'm going to give you. We're going to sail around the Caribbean, and you're going to sip cocktails and sun yourself all day, every day. But is this amazing lifestyle always, is it too good to be true? There's always a downside to things, isn't there? And what do we not know? What could have happened to her that night? What do you think, guys? What do you think could have happened? Do you think she's still in this boat? Do you think she's possibly tied up or something inside this boat? I mean, it's just so strange that he stood in front of the door and basically said, "You're not coming in. You're not coming past me." Because they'd said, "We want to check," and he'd said no, and they actually got on, and he stood in front of the door. Like, that to me is suspicious straight away. I know it's his home, but it's not like it's his secret place. He hires it out to all these people all the time for thousands of dollars. So it's not like nobody's ever been in there. What's the problem? What did he have to hide? What did he have to hide? So, yeah, so the FBI is supporting the local law enforcement there, and now chartered this boat. They're looking for him. They're scouring around the sea and hoping he doesn't get into UK waters before he gets into UK or French territory, because then they're not going to be able to extradite him back to the UK, back to the US, apparently. So, what with his ex-wife saying that he was violent and her going missing, I mean, is there a chance that they went out that night? There was an argument. Maybe they'd had a couple of drinks. They got back. The argument continued. You don't know, do you? He got angry. He did something like he did to his ex-wife. I mean, all it takes is for you to smash somebody's head against something, like he did with his ex-wife. She was lucky. But just that one time, you actually hit somebody's head on a metal bar or something else. It's not worth thinking about. But at the minute, all we have to go on is what's in the news, and what we're being told by friends and family, which, the family obviously are wanting their privacy. They're not saying too much apart from the fact that, you know, obviously they're devastated and hoping that she comes back soon. And we're just waiting for news. I've been following this case for the last few days. I keep looking on the news to see if there's anything new, but for the last, I think it's 9 hours now, there's been nothing new. And they are on the search for him, and let's hope they catch up with him. But when they catch up with him, let's hope they have a warrant, because otherwise they still won't be getting on the boat. I'd just like to know that this investigation is turning from a missing persons case to a possible criminal case, because at that point they can do something about it. I just think his timeline is off. I think there's nothing to suggest that she actually got on this boat. Nobody actually saw her getting on this boat. I'd like to think that they're doing searches on land as well as at sea. Obviously, they need to search his boat in order to, and he needs to cooperate. Yeah, Mary, he needs to cooperate so that they can get in there. They need to take fingerprints. They need to just do whatever they do. It's just frustrating. It's really frustrating. You know, I'm not even a family member. I'm not even a friend. I'm just following this case, but it's making me so mad for the family, knowing that he's not allowing them on. Apparently, he handed over all of her belongings, which were found on the boat. All of her personal belongings were there, her bank cards, her phone, her personal possessions, none of which have been used. They were all handed over in order to give to family. And he, you know, passed them over, no problem, but obviously met them on the shore, as he did. And yeah, isn't he great, Mary? Isn't he great? So he's given everything back, but none of this, I mean, if she had have gone out that night for a drink, I mean, I know when you go out for drinks, you don't always want to take a big handbag. You take a little purse with you, you know, going out for a meal. I would have thought she might have taken a phone with her at least. Even if she didn't take her bank cards, maybe he was paying for everything, I don't know. But you would have thought she'd have taken a purse or a phone with her. It just seems a bit strange that all of her personal belongings were on that boat, which makes you think she did return back that night. Or maybe they didn't even go for a meal that night. Who knows? Who knows? And the only person that does know right now is Ryan Bain. The only person that's not speaking right now is Ryan Bain. And the only person that's done a runner right now is Ryan Bain. So, yeah. And I was reading about this earlier on, Mary. Yeah, as the days go on in an investigation, things do get cold, because the first few days are, and we know, like, from, I don't know if a lot of you keeping up with the Irina Norson case, you know, those first few days are crucial. And what made that difficult with that case is we didn't even know if the dates that they'd given us were correct. And so those first few days that are so important suddenly become a lot more difficult to actually believe or get the evidence together. Yeah, we always take our purse, Mary. Yeah, we always take something, don't we? But yeah, so they are at the minute, the latest is that they are on his trail. They've chartered a boat, and they were in the US Virgin Islands territory looking for him. God knows where he is now. And let's hope they catch up with him. But who was the last person to see her? You know, we want to know who was the last person to see her. Is there any CCTV from any of these restaurants? Did anybody actually remember seeing her that night or that day? Did she actually get back onto this boat? Did she make any phone calls or go on any social media that night when she got back from this restaurant? And yeah, and maybe they could do one of those, they don't do them over here, but one of those polygraph tests on him if they actually get him back into US waters. because that would be a really interesting read, because I bet you I know the answer to that one. But anyway, it is, you know, innocent until proven guilty. Until somebody is, you know, proven guilty, we can't make somebody out to be guilty. But hey, we can certainly have our speculations and our questions. But we're all praying for the family right now, because they're all obviously very upset, distressed, and we're all thinking about them and hoping she's found safe. So guys, what do you think? Do you think she actually went out for a meal that night? Do you think she went missing that night when he said? I mean, she seemed really happy on those social media pictures. I can't see that she took her own life. I really can't. You know, her friends, they didn't say anything about her having any mental health problems. She looked happy. She looked fun. She was a free spirit. She loved traveling. I just can't see that. I can't see that she did that to herself. I mean, people do, but I can't see it. So, yes. So that's the end of that one. I will be keeping up with this case. If there is any more information, I will put it out. If you want to go across to our Instagram, it's all open, so you can see all the pictures, all our beautiful photos. What does Mary say? Please check anyone out. If a loved one, friend or relative go to meet someone, please check them out for them. We are, I probably can't see. Yep. When we're all loved up, we can't see anything but the end of our nose. We're happy. We don't even want to think that there's anything wrong with these people, but a background check is always advised, because like I said before, did she even know his history? I'm sure she probably knew probably knew he'd been married at some point, but did she actually know the circumstances as to why they got divorced, and the fact that he'd been in prison? You know, did she know any of that and the reasons why? So, yeah, she's still missing. As far as we're aware, she's not been found. For all we know, she could still be on this boat. But if she was still on this boat, I can't see why he would report her missing, which makes me think she might not be on the boat. I don't know. My head's spinning with it all. I'm going round and round in circles. 1 minute I think she's still on the boat, then I think she's not. What do you think? Anybody? Do you think she's still on this boat? Do you think he did something to her on the island or on the boat? So that's the end of this live for today. I know it was a short one, 28 minutes. I wasn't going to be on for long. I've been at work all day. I am tired and I am ready for my bed. It is nearly 10 p.m. here in the UK. I don't know what time it is there, probably the middle of the afternoon. Obviously, if you haven't had a chance to watch this, you can be watching the recap. I will upload this afterwards so you can rewatch it for anybody who's missed it. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll be back again soon. This was only my second live, so please bear with me if there was some silences at times or I got a bit flustered. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Missy. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight, and I will see you again soon. Bye, Bella. Bye, Cynthia. Bye. Bye.